Today we're going to review Chapter 8. This is part 1 of our review to help you prepare for the test on Thursday. So let's start by looking at this square right here. Let's pretend this square is your backyard. If you wanted to build a fence around your backyard, would you find your backyard's perimeter or area? We've talked a little bit about this in class. The area is the space inside the square or inside your yard. The perimeter is the space around the edges of the square or around the edges of your yard. So if you wanted to find the perimeter, you would count the space around the outside of the square, and if you wanted to find the area, you would find the space on the inside. So if you were building a fence, the fence would go around the outside of the backyard, so you would want to find the perimeter of the yard. All right, let's take a look at this shape here. To find the area of this polygon, since it's on top of a grid, we could count the squares that the polygon takes up. So to find the area, we would look at the inside of the shape. Let's first start by finding all of our full squares. So I see here that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 full squares. Now let's take a look at all of these half squares that we have. Here we have half plus another half would equal 1 whole. Over here we've got 2 more halves, so that'd be another whole. Over here we have 2 more halves, so that would be another whole. And the same right here, 2 halves equal 1 whole. So I have 12 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. 12 plus 4 equals 16. So I know the area of this polygon is 16 centimeters squared, since each of these boxes represents 1 centimeter squared. Okay, let's find the area of this rectangle. So you'll see a few problems like this on your test Thursday, and they'll show you a shape and they'll ask you to find the base, the height, the perimeter, and the area. So the first thing you want to do is measure the base. So you'll take out your ruler. I've got my ruler here, and make it a little bigger. And I'm going to measure, make it a little bigger so you can see it. I'm going to measure it in centimeters because that's what it'll ask you to measure in, on your test. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is find the base. So I bring my ruler up here and make sure that this black line, the first black line on my ruler, is lined up with the end of my shape. And then I can look right here and I know that the base is about 5 centimeters. So from here to here is about 5 centimeters. So then I'll go back over here and I'll write down 5 centimeters next to base. Now I'm going to find the height of my rectangle. So I go back to my ruler. It'll take me a little longer because I have to flip this one around. And I'll flip my ruler and then I'll measure the height of my rectangle. And remember, we talked about this in class. When you have a parallelogram or a rectangle or a square, it doesn't really matter where you measure the height. We can measure the height here, we can measure it here, we can measure over here, and it's going to be the same since these sides are parallel. So let's go ahead and measure this edge. And I see here, or I could even put it in the middle, that my height is about 3.5. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to write 3.5 centimeters. My height is 3.5 centimeters. Now I'm going to find the perimeter of my shape. Well, I know that the height is 3.5, so that means that each of these edges are 3.5 centimeters high. And I know that the base is 5 centimeters, so that means that this side is also 5 centimeters. You will be allowed to use a calculator on this test, so we're going to practice using a calculator to find the perimeter and area. All right, we know to find the perimeter of a rectangle, all we have to do is add up all of the sides. So let's go back to our calculator and add up all our sides. Remember, when you use your calculator, you need to turn it on, and it should say 0 up in the corner. Then you're going to take 5 plus 5 plus 3.5 plus 3.5 equals 17. So the perimeter of my shape is 17. Now I'm going to find the area. Remember, the formula for the area of a rectangle is just base times height. So I can use my calculator for this. And the base is, I'm going to clear off my calculator, the base is 5. So I'll take 5 times 3.5, which equals 17.5. So the area of my rectangle is 17.5. I don't want to forget my labels, centimeters. Okay, let's try finding the same information for a different shape. This time, let's do a parallelogram. All right, here we have our rhombus. And we're going to find the same information, the base, the height, the perimeter, and the area. So I'm going to pull out my ruler, and I'm going to find my base in centimeters. And I make sure to line up my black line with the very end of my shape here. And the base here is 5. Right, 5 there. And then I'll flip my ruler and find the height. This dashed line right here shows you that that's where they measured the height. So when you're measuring the height on your test, make sure you line your ruler up with the dashed line. All right, so I'm going to turn my ruler here. There we go. Bring it back. Line it up. And I can see here that my height is about 4. Move my ruler out of the way. Actually, I'll just get rid of it. My height here is 4, so I'm going to write a 4 right here. All right, so I'm going to go back over my information. My base was 5 centimeters, and my height was 4 centimeters. Now they want me to find the perimeter of my shape. To find the perimeter of my shape, I'm going to add up all the sides. I need to figure out how long each of these sides is. So I'm not finished measuring yet. I've got to measure all my sides and then add those sides up to find the perimeter. So now I've already measured the height. Let me get rid of my ruler and bring in a new one. Okay. Bring in a new ruler, and here we go. Now we'll measure all the sides. Okay. Make this a little bigger so it's easier to see. Go over here. Turn my ruler around and measure this side. Okay. So I can see that this side right here is also about 5. So this side is 5. Which means this side will be 5 and this side will be 5. Because these are parallel lines and these lines opposite each other are the same length. So I know that if this is 5, this will be 5 as well. If this is 5, this will also be 5. To find the perimeter, I just add up all my sides. I know that 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 20. I also know that I have 4 5s here, and 5 times 4 is 20. So my perimeter is 20 centimeters. To find the area, I would just take the base times height, and my height here is 4, and 5 times 4 is 20. So my area is also 20 centimeters. All right. Let's move on to the next one. take a look at the triangle. We've talked about finding the area and perimeter of the triangle in our last lesson, in your last video log. So the first thing we're going to do here is find the base. Let me flip this around, so we're going to use centimeters. There we go. And line my ruler up. The base of this triangle is 10 centimeters. So I'm going to go back over here and write down my base is 10 centimeters. Now I'm going to find the height of my triangle. Take my ruler, flip it around, and there we go. Oops. And bring it back over here, and I'll measure the height. Here we go. The height of my triangle is 4 centimeters. So I'll write a 4 here and a 4 over there. Now I need to find, I'm going to find the area of my triangle first, since I have the information to do that. Alright, so let's take the information we have right now, and remember the formula for the area of a triangle is half the base times the height. So I'm going to take 10 times 4, which equals 40, and the area is going to be half of that. So I know 40 divided by 2 equals 20. So the area of this triangle is 20 centimeters squared. Now I need to find the perimeter of my triangle. To find the perimeter, I would just add up all the edges. So I'm going to measure the edges of my triangle and add up the edges. Okay, so let's bring my ruler back here. Flip it around, move it this way, bring it back up, and we'll measure this side. Okay, I'm going to line my ruler up over here, and this side is 8 centimeters. So I'll write 8 here. I'm going to flip my ruler around and measure the other side. And this side, as soon as I get it lined up, is about 5 centimeters. So I'll put a 5 here. To find the perimeter, I would just add up all these sides. I know that 10 plus 8 is 18, and 18 plus 5 is 23. So I know that the perimeter of this triangle is 23 centimeters. Okay, let's move on to your practice problem for this evening. Okay. Your practice problem tonight, all you have to do is write down the formula for the area of a parallelogram and the formula for the area of a triangle. Be prepared to explain these formulas to your table group and also be able to explain how these formulas relate to one another. How do we use the area of a parallelogram to find the area of a triangle? And how can we use the area of a triangle to find the area of a parallelogram? Good luck!